Linda Cruzy, Tammy Reynolds, I'm a shareholder in an S Corp, and I'm a CPA and deal with a lot of small businesses.
Zane Gross, Wendy's franchisee.
Ray Seven, Corporation.
Joe Abraham, the Good Shepherd, Administrator.
Scott Harris, Brothers, Stewardship.
Brett Metzenberg, Baker Bowman Company.
Steve Martin, Research.
Public event for the media.
And I'm Steve Brinkenshire, my district director. And,
Renee Osborne with the Chamber.
okay, great. And we got some media folks here, I believe, and Dallas Gerber's on my campaign staff. And we do have an office here, actually. First of all, I just wanted to mention, this week, one of the, passed a couple bills, one about offshore energy development, but regulations. And, you know, there's two things you can really highlight, in my opinion, that's making it difficult for people like you to grow your businesses and create jobs is burdensome regulations and, of course, taxes and just the uncertainty coming out of Washington. But, so we passed in the House, because I'm sure this is the Senate vote, anybody want to bet me? But and what this bill does is, it was a combination of about half a dozen or so bills, but puts a moratorium on any regulations that are of significant importance, and that would define over $100 million impact on the U.S. economy until the unemployment rate drops down to 6% or below. And it also puts moratorium on things happening later this year, what we call them at the midnight hour, executive branch doing certain things, and lame duck and all that. But they put together, you won't be able to see this, but I'll just hold up to you a little bit of the idea. Red tape versus small business. On this chart, of course, you got Washington D.C., you got Congress, you got the courts, federal courts, executive branch, independent agencies, labor law, EPA, IRS, and you guys are in the middle here.
Buried under there.
Buried under there, and it also has all about all the different things, you know, let's see here. E-commerce rules, employee, customer, employment stuff, information, discrimination, immigration, drug-free stuff, federal trade, workers' comp, OSHA, prevailing wage, Obamacare, so you can get a perspective.
Forgot that one.
That, it looks like to me, you can kind of say, if I'm feeling, trying to breathe, or you can choke there, or you can strangle. So I just wanted to mention that, but the purpose of today is to set a roundtable and talk about, I'll start off about what's coming January 1st if we don't get it stopped. It is the current law. And then when you know, have a discussion and hear from all of you about what's going on in your businesses and the impacts and what you see. So I think we'll have a good discussion. But I'll just start off talking a little bit about the impending tax increase that's in current law. And just a few statistics. In June was the first time in 44 months small business cited taxes above core sales as the single most important problem they're facing today. We're looking at a $4.6 trillion tax increase over 10 years, or $232 billion in 2013 alone. Former President Obama's council advisors, Austin Goolsbee, said the pending tax increases is 2 to 3 times bigger in negative terms than even the biggest year of the stimulus was in positive terms, if you can find it, some positive terms in that. If implemented, the president's proposal to increase the top 2 individual rates, 53% of business income reported on individual returns would be hit by the tax hike. And the NFIB, National Federation of Independent Businesses, cite 75% of small businesses pay their taxes as individuals, subject to the taxes, and that's, as I'm sure you all know, S corps and LLCs and partnerships and sole proprietors, you know, flow through entities that go right to your individual 1040. Then we talked about the tax garden, or fiscal cliff you probably heard about, but to give you a few examples, here as reported, the average American household would see a $3,800 increase in taxes in 2013 alone. Tax policies under 7 different categories will expire, and 5 of the 18 new tax hikes from Obamacare go into effect. And the lowest tax bracket right now, you talk about people trying bash high incomers. The lower income, the 10% rate, that goes to 15%. All the rates go up, 25 to 28, and so on. Married couples would face higher taxes from reinstatement of the marriage penalty. The standard deduction would be reduced for married couples. Parents would pay higher taxes, and the child tax credit is cut in half from 1,000 to 500. So your investments that grow the economy and create jobs would be taxed even higher. Capital gains would go, and this counts the Obamacare increase, would go from 15% to 25%. Dividend taxes would go from, this is unbelievable. And this impacts, anybody that's got any investments, some equity stocks, or returns on those kind of investments go from 15% to 44.6%. And this is where I think it really affects even C corporations because of the double taxation. They pay the highest rate, 35%, which is the highest rate in the industrialized world now. And then they turn around and pay dividends and you pay 44.8%. Yeah, 44 was it? Yeah, 44.6%. And then that wouldn't count your state and other local obligations. The death tax for small businesses, family farms, everybody would be, the exemptions would be lower from 5.12 million to 1 million, and the rate would go from 35% to 55%. The alternative minimum tax that was put in place years ago wasn't indexed for inflation, so it's impacting the middle class now. With the 31 million households would not be subject to the alternative minimum tax, which will come January 1st. The current law stands. Exemption reduces from 48,450 to 33,750 for single filers on. So it goes on. So examples, I got an example. A family of four earning $50,000 per year could pay almost $2,200 higher in taxes, a 5-fold increase. A single mom earning $36,000 a year would pay $1,100 in higher taxes. Married senior citizens earning $40,000 per year could pay nearly $1,700 in higher taxes. This is really interesting, and I actually had the study on my iPad, but Ernst & Young did a study of what the impact would be here. Let's see here. Okay, talk about the small business entities pass through, get that. Small business employ 54% of the private sector, work in America, and already pay 44% of all federal business taxes paid. And I think they define small business as 500 less employees. More than 20 million workers are employed pass-through businesses with more than 100 employees. The long term, this is the Ernst & Young study, the long run it would cost the economy $200 billion in lost output. This is the one that really sticks out. Employment would also fall by 0.5% or 710,000 jobs just next year. Capital stock investment would fall from 1.4 to 2.4% respectively. Real after-tax wages would fall from 1.8%, reducing average worker standard of living. And when the president talks about increasing the taxes on the wealthy, that's really a gimmick. I think the numbers I've seen, it would pay for federal spending for about 8 days a year. So it's and the impact it would have on our overall economy and growth and that you'd have bigger government and a lot less opportunities and jobs. I think in the Ernst & Young, it's a long study, but I looked through it, and it really documents that, and so I think that's important. Let's see what other, talk about the double taxation. There's been some, and then what we're trying to do in the House, this next week we are going to pass legislation to not let the tax increase go into effect all across the board. I don't think it's a good time to raise taxes on anybody. I think it's my old mantra. I say if you want less of something, tax it more. If you want something, tax it less. We would definitely, in the Ernst & Young study, this illustrates the impact it would have. And so we need to have real tax reform, and I have a timeline here that we're working on in the House next year to make real tax reform and make it permanent and not this temporary nonsense that creates a lot more uncertainty. There was, I don't know if certainly you might have seen it, there was a couple interesting editorials in the Wall Street Journal. Art Laffer, I know him, he's a renowned economists, I don't know Ford Scudder, but they wrote, The Tax Cliff is a growth killer. Highlights kind of things I've kind of went through a little bit. The impact it had on our economy, you know, at best, you're probably looking at a little over 1% GDP growth. Or we really need, at 1% GDP growth, I don't know how many jobs that is a month, but not a whole lot. We saw the jobs report last one came out, in the second quarter. 80,000 jobs were created in June. For the quarter, it averaged out about 75,000 jobs a month. That's a very anemic recovery, because we need at least 200,000 jobs a month just to sustain population growth. We've got 50% of the college graduates can't find their job or underemployed. In the African American community and the Hispanic community, it's double digits. The true unemployment rate is about 15% overall, not 8.2, because a lot of people are quit looking for work. And then the other article I saw here was from Ari Fleischer, was his name, right? I think he used to work in the Bush White House, but talks about who's paying taxes and what the amount is and what's fair. As you probably know, a lot, nearly half the people in the United States don't pay any federal income tax. And I don't know, a small percent pays a huge percent. You know, it's the old 80-20 rule or 90-10 rule. But Washington doesn't have a taxing revenue problem, really has a spending problem. We've seen that. So I just threw out some things here. I really want to stress how important it is that we don't let this tax increase take effect on January 1st. And I think it puts us, back down in a deep recession again. And so I'll just open it up for questions, comments, and just discussion. I know we got a lot. I hear Bookmasters Ray. It's Scott, Right, when you're the host, you got new things going on. This company here was started in the late '70s, a family-run business, and that's what makes America great. Is historically is an opportunity for people to succeed and fail, but they take the risk. And one thing I'm seeing when I talk to a lot of business people around the state and this area is they're holding back because all the uncertainty coming out of Washington, and it's really scary. And it's burdensome regulations. That's why it was so important what we're trying to do on the regulatory side, common sense regulatory reform, and on the tax side, and of course on the spending side is the tax like a wet blanket over our economy. But I think it's just it's a wonderful when I see people that, and I see it all the time, that have taken the risk. When the president said the private sector's doing fine and you didn't build that business, I think that really shows what he's really thinking, because I was self-employed. I went on my own in 1978, and there were some years there where I thought they were going to lose it, and you lay everything on your line, you be bankrupt, and you work hard, and you take that risk, and for the president to say that you didn't build that business, I think that's, I don't have words for it. I know Lee's another one, he's built a business, and Keith, and I know a lot of you that I've been here before. But research is doing great, and I know there's challenges, but so.
I'll give you a very interesting fact that I decided to look at yesterday. We're going on this, on taxes, and what's a fair rate. And the subchapter S, as you said, flows through. So I took a look at disposable income, in other words, what I put in my pocket last year, take home. And for every dollar I put in my pocket, I paid the federal government $6.20. Now, I don't know if the rest of you have ever taken a look at that, because, your profit falls through as an individual. That didn't include the state, that didn't include the city. And I found that, and all I would say to the Democrats is, how much more do you want as a fair share?
Well, the other thing it does too, I'm sure you agree that took more capital, more dollars out of your pocket, out of your business, that you didn't have to reinvest back in your business.
Right, and that was after taking all of the capital, off in 1 year and everything. And where you really see it is we're getting killed this year, where we can really use